Honestly, I was contemplating maybe not doing a video about the subject that I'm about to talk about because there's been many videos on this topic and there's the whole issue started, I would say, maybe a week and a half, couple weeks ago, so maybe it's kind of old to some people, but I just felt like I had to say something about this whole situation based on some of the videos that I've watched and some of the comments I've read, and I just want to say, give my 2 cents on this whole matter, because because I feel like it. But yeah, what I'm going to be talking about right now is the whole controversy with the Cheetahmen 2 Kickstarter event that involves people like James, Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, Pat the NES Punk, and the Game Chasers, and it's all funded by this guy named Greg Pabich. He's the originator of this event. And keep that in mind because that's very important. Just remember that. So it seems like ever since Angry Video Game Nerd put up a video on his channel because he had a cameo in the Kickstarter video about the re-release of the Cheetahmen game. He had a cameo. Same thing, same way as Pat the NES Punk had a cameo. And apparently since then, there's been a wave of controversy on the whole issue. And in my opinion, a lot of it's unfounded. And just flat out wrong in some cases. So apparently the charge is that James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, is e-bagging again. People love to throw around that term e-bagging, despite the fact that they really have no idea what e-bagging actually is, because this really isn't e-bagging. But the whole issue started based on Mike Matei's comments on James's video. Mike Matei is one of James's friends, and he's the creator and the handler of the James Nintendo Nerd channel. A lot of people don't seem to know that, but that's what it is. And he was reading all the negative comments on there about how this was a scam and such and stuff like that. And he proceeded to write comments back saying, basically believing them to an extent, not the whole thing, because keep this in mind. He never once said that it was a scam. Mike Matei never once said that this was a scam. He just had questions about the pricing and the fundraiser limit. He never once stated that it was a scam, but that started the whole wave of controversy that, oh my god, Mike Matei and James Rolfe admit that it's a scam. They admit it. It's right there. Yeah, you probably know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the guy known as the Archfiend, who seems to love and has made his YouTube reputation on basically leeching off of popular YouTubers. Whether he's right or wrong, because sometimes I actually like some of his videos depending on who he talks about. And sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. But his channel and his status on YouTube is based off of leeching off of popular YouTubers. So when he made that video, he basically posted a link to a screen cap of Mike Matei's comments. But once again, either he doesn't understand or the people who looked at the image doesn't understand that Mike Matei never said it was a scam. And nowhere did James ever say it was a scam. All Mike did was suggest that the limit was kind of high for what he's thinking that it should be. That doesn't mean it's a scam. And nowhere did James ever say that it was a scam. Now, Pat the NES Punk chimed in on a website basically saying that Mike jumped the gun and didn't realize why the fundraiser limit was what it was at. And ever since then, Mike took his comments down, and eventually comments were disabled on the video. So, but what I would like to point out, and my main point, and I'm sorry that it maybe, if someone's bored and it took too long for me to get to this point, I just felt I should be as descriptive as possible, but can any of you people who have made videos on this situation or have made comments on this situation, can any of you prove that this is in fact a scam? And that's where your problem lies. None of you can do that because there's no proof anywhere that this is a scam. You see, in order for this to be a scam, people actually have to be ripped off. They have to have their money taken away and not get what they paid for. No one has been charged yet. No one that has donated to this has been charged yet. Not only that, there's also no proof to show that there is no product that is being made. Or that isn't being made, excuse me. There's no proof whatsoever. All of you people who've made these videos have not shown any proof. The only two things you have shown is Mike Matei's comments, which did not admit it was a scam, and what you also showed was a court case from 2002 involving this Greg Pabich guy. Unfortunately, either the people who made these videos, people like Archfiend, Weenie Productions, I saw one of his videos, and a few other people, but I guess either you didn't feel like reading through the whole thing, and that's understandable because it's a very, very long, and it's very time consuming to read, but all you have to do is scroll to the bottom of the page. And guess what it says? I'm not going to read verbatim what it says. I'll post the link in my description here. But it rules in favor of Pabich. It rules in favor of Pabich because the guy admitted to stealing from him. So, no, Pabich didn't lose this court case, and nothing showed that Pabich was part of some scam of any kind. It never showed that. So, great job, guys, for basically posting a link to this court case, hoping that it would prove your point, when in fact it just made you look worse. So, since it's the only two things that people are really showing to show that this is a scam, then you guys pretty much have nothing. You guys pretty much have nothing now. So that brings me to, why are you making these videos? Why are you hating on someone like James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, who, even if this project was a scam, even if this whole thing was a scam, it's not his fundraiser. It is not his Kickstarter. James did not make this Kickstarter. He just cameoed in it. And that's it. Yet, a lot of these people seem to only target him, even though Greg Pabich made the Kickstarter, and the people who originally made the video was the Game Chasers. James didn't make the video, he just uploaded it to his channel. Yet, people are going around acting like that he's e-begging again, even though he's never done that. And I know what people are talking about. They're talking about the whole AVGN movie fundraiser thing. But, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but even if this whole thing was a scam, even if it was, your anger should be directed elsewhere, not James or Mike, because they are not the originators of this event. But the funny thing is that a lot of this really started back when the first case of James' quote-unquote e-begging came up was when he put up a fundraiser for his AVGN movie. However, what people don't seem to understand, or maybe they don't know, or maybe they just don't want to accept it. His fans asked him to put that up because they wanted to help him. I remember seeing lots of comments asking if we could support it in any way. Because keep in mind, James wants this to be an actual movie with actual good production values. He doesn't want it to be like a little, I don't want to say indie film because that's kind of disrespectful, but he wants it to be as good as it possibly can be. Which, I hate to break it to you people, but it actually costs a lot of money to do that. Just ask any indie filmmaker and ask if it's cheap to even make an indie film. It's not. So, seeing that, James set up the fundraiser. And lo and behold, a lot of the people supported him way over his expectations. So, instead of being an asshole like a lot of other people who e-beg for their own personal gain, this isn't for James's personal gain. It's for a project that people want to see. That Angry Video Game Nerd movie. So guess what he did to everyone who donated? He made autographed pictures. So at least he's giving back somewhat to the people who have helped him make this movie. And not only that, how do any of you know his production costs? How many of you do you know what his funds are for his movie or anything that he does? Because I know a lot of people seem to throw around the fact that they think James is rich, that he's loaded with money and doesn't need any of it. How do any of you know what his expenses are? Not just for his movie, for his home. How about his bills? You don't know. You don't even know how much money he makes originally. You just don't know. You just assume. And guess what? When you assume, it makes an ass out of yourself. The first 3 letters of the word assume. And that's what you guys seem like. You seem like you know everything. Everything about his life, when in reality you have no facts to back up any of your statements. No facts whatsoever. And it's the same thing with this whole Cheetahmen issue. And it's funny how you're only going after James. Which tells me that it's more of a personal hatred for James than actually being mad at the situation. Because honestly, have any of you donated to the cause? So, then it should really be none of your concern because you're not involved in that issue. And if it does end up being a scam, then the people who should be rightly upset are the people who actually donated money to the cause. And they have a right to be upset, but guess what? Once again, there are no facts to back up your accusations that this is a scam. There are no facts to show that. You just want to say, you're those type of people that think that maybe if I say it loud enough, maybe if I say it often enough, maybe people will just believe it. And sadly, that's what's happened with a lot of people, because you decide not to use your brains and actually do some research on a topic before you open your mouse or type on your keyboard. You know, doing a little research is actually, it really comes in handy sometimes, and you become more knowledgeable about what you're talking about. So, unless someone can provide actual 100% factual proof that this is a scam, then you shouldn't really be going around saying it's a scam. You really shouldn't. And honestly, someone like James, who's provided free entertainment since, I don't know, when Angry Video Game Nerd got big, which was 2006, that's 6 years. He's provided free entertainment for 6 years. And this is the kind of treatment he gets when all he did was just accept a cameo role. Honestly, I don't see the need for that unless you have a personal hatred for him. And if you do, then you really have some issues in life that you need to work on, to be perfectly honest. Because why would you hate someone who has never done a single thing to harm you? And honestly, it's funny from people like the Archfiend talking about e-begging when he enables ads on his videos talking about e-begging. That's kind of funny. Because where's that money going to go? It's going to go right into his pocket. And it's clear he likes it because he always responds with, thanks for giving me a view and thanks for watching the video. And he puts $ and cents for S's and C's. But yet, we're supposed to, he's supposed to be this holier than thou person who cares about people's money, who cares if they donate it to a cause. Yes, because he's very holier than thou when it comes to that. He would never, ever do anything on the internet for money. He would never do that. Right, wrong, sorry. And not just for him, it's for other people who've talked about this situation. You have ads enabled on your videos. So, it seems to me like maybe you guys might be begging for attention and then getting money in the process of getting that attention. But that's about it, and I just think it's sad that someone who's provided everybody entertainment for years, like James Rolfe, is getting this treatment and getting his name dragged through the mud for no goddamn reason. No reason at all. So if you want to leave, anybody wants to leave a comment or even do a video response, you guys can do whatever you want, and I guess that's it, and everyone have a good one.